Welcome to the Rise of the Trades podcast, the show dedicated to helping you to build, grow, and scale your trades or construction business. All rise for your host, Craig Wilkinson.
Happy New Year, everybody, and welcome to this week's coaching episode of the Rise of the Trades podcast, where we help trades and construction business owners to skyrocket leads, explode net profits without having to graft 60 hours a week and becoming that busy fool. Well, it is a new year, and on behalf of myself and all my team, we want to wish you a happy new year to you and your family. And in this episode, I'm going to be teaching you how you can create your record-breaking year. You see, I'm going to share with you 7 areas of business that I believe that you need to invest into over the course of this next 12 months to make sure that 2025 is your most profitable and successful year ever. But before we go there, I'd just like to announce that we are now, at the time of recording this episode, only 10 days away from launching our brand new Trades Freedom Club membership, training portal, and secret community that's going to give you all the help, support, coaching, knowledge, accountability to help you to scale your business and achieve time and financial freedom. Now, we launch on January the 13th at 11 a.m. And unless you've been hiding under a rock for this last 3 months, you will know that this is our big launch, and we have got a priority waiting list for you to add yourself to if you want to get the email and text invite to join us in our new Trades Freedom Club membership. If you've not already added yourself to the waiting list, please click the link in the show notes and the description and add yourself to the waiting list. Now, if you're listening to this after the 13th of January 2025, congratulations, because the doors will be open for you to go and join our membership, training platform, and secret community right off the bat. Now, let's transition over to this week's coaching episode. This time of year, particularly at the end of December / beginning of January, when we're entering into a new year, this is typically time when people start to reflect on the year and start to have the grand ideas and the plans and the goals for what they're going to achieve in this new year. And that's great. And we've had some downtime over that Christmas period to start to think about what we want. But let's face it, in reality, come February, most people will have already fallen off the wagon and they'll have already broken some of the goals that they wanted to achieve. And then we're into March and it's Groundhog Day. We're back into the grind of it. Now, at the beginning of December, not January, December, I always sit down, myself, my wife, and my family, and we always together start to focus on our goals as a family for the following year. Because then I know what I need to achieve and I need to do in my business for us to achieve those goals. So I don't leave it to the last minute. We plan and we plan ahead. However, I know that many people don't work like that. And on the 31st of December, on New Year's Eve, when you've possibly had a few drinks and you're all in that happy mood, you start to say to yourself, this is it. This next year is the year where I'm going to dominate. All our goals are aligning. The stars are going to align. A miracle's going to happen and we're going to achieve these goals and time and financial freedom, and as business is going to skyrocket and our lives are going to change. Bullshit, right? Let me just say it how it is. Because nothing is going to change until you change. And right now, I believe coming into this new year that there is a huge opportunity for us all to make this year the most successful year to date. But we're not going to be able to do that if we're just consistently doing what we've always done. You see, doing that has brought us to this junction and to the point where we're at, and that's great. But doing what you're doing now for another 12 months is not going to get you to ultimately where you want to be. Only by taking massive action and putting more time, effort and strategies and work and commitment and passion into your business are you going to actually really take it up a notch or two. And in this episode, I want to share with you what I believe are the 7 areas of business that if I were you, I'd be focusing on over this next 12 months. Now, yes, there are a whole load more of areas that we can focus on. But think about it, I'm saying over this next 12 months, and we can't focus on every area in your business over 12 months, or otherwise you'll dilute your time down that much that you'll not get anything done and over the line and accomplished. So when I sat down in December with my family and went through our goal setting process, that then created the vision of what I need to do in the business coming into this year. Then I sat down with my team towards the back end of December and went through what the business looks like, what are the changes that we're going to need to make, so they're aware of what's happening. So we're hitting the ground running this year, knowing exactly what we need to do to achieve a hugely successful year. And the 7 areas that I pinpointed to my team are the same 7 areas that I want to share with you now in this episode. Now, I'm not saying these are the be-all and end-all. What I'm saying is to take full advantage of the opportunities that we've all got. I believe that these are 7 areas that we need to start focusing on. And if we can nail these 7 areas as quick as we can during this next 12 months, then at that point, you're going to really start to skyrocket your business. So what I want you to do is grab a notepad, grab a pen, and make notes of what I'm going to share with you with these 7 areas. And on top of that, for each of these 7 areas, I'm going to be suggesting that you go and listen to a dedicated episode that I've already recorded and is already live now, ready for you to listen to, that breaks down each one of these 7 areas into granular detail. So there's no excuse for people to say, I didn't get that. I don't understand that strategy, because I'm breaking all these strategies down with the podcast episodes that I'm going to be sharing with you. So grab your notepads, grab your pens, grab your tablets. You know how this works now, and let's get stuck in. Business area number 1, and it will always be number 1 no matter what, is mindset and personal development. And some of you, I'm sure by now, have got this embedded inside your own subconscious mind, because everything that we do, our entire success in business and life, revolves around our own mindset and our own personal development. And you are going to really struggle to scale and grow your business and take it to levels and heights that you only right now dream of or right now have set as a goal. But unfortunately, you'll never get your business to where you want it to be and achieve them goals if you are not ahead of your business. And what I mean by this is there are so many business owners out there right now where their business is in control of the 3 main areas of business. Write these down. Number 1, your business may well be controlling your time. Number 2, your business might well be controlling your finances. And number 3, your business may well be controlling your relationships. And what I mean by the relationships, I mean that your customers, clients, or your team or your subbies own your relationship and you're not in control. And when we're not in control of time, money, and relationships, and our business is, then that means that our business is ahead of us. So in other words, if you are fed up of working long hours, right, and you're grafting and grafting and grafting, and you're putting the graft in, and you're not making high net profits for the time and effort that you're putting in, so you're not making profit, or dare I say it, that you have accumulated a little bit of debt, and now you're staying up with sleepless nights worrying about money, or you've got your customers texting you, emailing you at evenings and at weekends, and you've got your team taking the piss. They text you on a Monday morning saying that they're knocking because they went out on a Sunday evening and got pissed up and they're not coming in. If that's happening to you in your business right now, you are not in control of those 3 relationships, which means your business is controlling you. So if your business is ahead of you, how can you take your business to where you want to take it to when your business is controlling and taking you where the business dictates you're going? Are you with me? Now, the only way in which we're going to control those 3 things is by developing our mindset and making a shifting, a change in the way in which we develop ourselves and we approach our business. Because if I was to say to some of you now, right, I want you to go away and I want you to invest 10 grand into a new website. I want you to sack your accountant and I want you to use this one. I want you to stop answering your phone and doing your own emails and your own pricing, and I want you to use this VA company to go away and do that. If I told you to do that tomorrow, some of you are going to go, can't. Why? Well, I ain't got the money, or I ain't got the time, or I've tried this and it didn't work in the past, or I don't believe that's going to work. And that's because we've got a closed and fixed mindset. And until we change that mindset by developing ourselves and growing ourselves as individuals, we're really going to struggle to take control of this business, and we're never going to get ahead of it. So what I'm saying is, for you to get ahead of your business, you've got to grow yourself, grow your mindset, personally develop yourself to put yourself in a far better position where you now start to own and control your time, your money, and your relationships within your business. You see, people say to me, Craig, how did you really go from being that busy fool joiner, working 90 hours a week, robbing Peter to pay Paul, that cost you your marriage and everything else that you went through? How did you really get from where you were then to where you are now? How have you achieved time and financial freedom, and how do you own relationships in your businesses and in your life? And when I say to him, I had a massive shift in mindset and I started personally developing myself 18 years ago, they look at me gone out and go, no, Craig, I don't mean all that fluffy mindset shit. What I'm talking about is, how did you stop working all them hours? How did you start making more money? How did you systemize your business? How did you find the right staff? How did you do all that? And I said, I've just told you. I changed my mindset and I started developing myself. Because until I changed, and until I took a different approach, and until I took new knowledge and strategies on, and I believed in myself and I believed that they were going to work, until that time, nothing was changing because I was doing the same thing repeatedly over and over again. But when I started to develop myself and realised all this, and I realised that my business did control me, and I had to get back control of the business, when I realised that, and I started to accept that for things to change, I would have to change, or all I'd ever have in my pocket is change, Until that point, nothing was going to change. So 18 years ago, I submerged myself into thinking, right, what I've been doing now has brought me to where I am, but it's never going to make me a millionaire. It's never going to get my time back. It's never going to let me have time and financial freedom being a busy fool, flogging a dead horse. Craig, for things to change, you've got to change your mindset and you've got to change your approach to your own business. And that's what I did 18 years ago, and the rest is history. So what I'm saying to you is the key to success for you to achieve time and financial freedom and the goals that you are dreaming and thinking about now lies within your own mindset. But for us to get there, you're going to have to change, and you're going to have to accept that you need to change. So to do this, I want you to go back at the end of this episode, and I want you to listen to 2 episodes that are already live. Episode number 9 is I teach you how to create a bulletproof, positive mindset. Because for some of you, you've got a big shift and a big change that needs to happen. Because for some of you, with your business controlling you, it's probably put you in a negative rut. You might be in a downward spiral, down on your luck, a little bit negative about the outlook of business and life because your businesses grind you down. Well, we need to make that shift and change in that mindset, because nothing's going to change whilst ever you've got that mindset. We need to get rid of that fixed and closed mindset and replace it with what I call a bulletproof, positive mindset. So in episode 9, I share the exact strategy that you need to make that conditional shift and change in yourself and in your mindset. Episode number 10 is called How to Create a New Morning and a New Evening Routine to Change Your Life. Because what we have to understand with mindset is all about habits. And no doubt that every day you get up and you formed certain habits in your life and in your business, and it's certain rituals that you go through every morning when you get up and every evening when you go to bed. And these habits, good or bad, dictate our success. So if you get up in the morning and you're hitting that snooze button because life's a bit tough and you can't be asked to get out of bed, and you keep hitting the snooze button, and you get up in the morning and everything's hard work and you haven't been paid for this job, and or your text message or your WhatsApp goes and somebody's not turning in today, and now you've got to change all your diary around and it's all stress and hassle. Listen, if that's how you're living your life and business, then guess what? All you're going to do is keep attracting more of that until you change your morning routine and habit. Likewise, if you come home from work like I used to when I were on tools, 25 years ago, I used to come home, I'd go straight to the fridge, 5, 6 o'clock, pop bottle of beer, neck a bottle of beer in my kitchen. 2 hours later, I've sunk 5, 6 bottles of Peroni or Stella or whatever, bottle of wine, whatever. I'd do that. I'd knock myself out, and then I get up next day and it's back into that same habit. So if we've picked up negative, bad habits along our journey, we've got to replace them negative, bad habits with positive habits that's going to help you, not hinder you. So in the morning, I want you up early. I want you investing what I call the golden hour, an hour into yourself, exercise, going for a walk, going at gym, meditation, affirmations, law of attraction, listening to audiobooks and podcasts to get yourself fired up and motivated in the morning. That's where we need to be. And all this, what I'm sharing with you in these 2 episodes, is what's going to help you take back control of your own mindset and your business. So episode 9 and episode 10 are absolutely vital if you're going to make a big change and a big difference in your business and in your life throughout this next up and coming year. Business area number 2. And this is what I call your vision. Your vision. Now, it's really important that instead of just having New Year's resolutions, what does my business look like this year? And then you just pluck things out of fresh air, right? Like, wouldn't it be good if I could get another van on road and another team? Wouldn't it be good if I could sort of like come off at tools? Wouldn't it be good if I could move out of working from home and move into my first office? All these are just wish lists. All these are just ideas. And while ever it's just an idea and a bucket list floating around in the back of your head, nothing is going to change. What we need to do is we need to get crystal clear clarity of where our business is heading. Because if you don't have clarity of where your business is heading, you could be going 100 mile an hour for the next 6 months in your business, going in the complete and utter wrong direction to where you should have been going if you'd have sat down and worked out what does this vision of your business actually look like. And it's difficult sometimes to create that vision when you're 100 mile an hour and you've got work galore coming out your ears and you've got 1,000,001 things to do. We don't spend the time to sit down and have some downtime away from the rat race of running a business to start to focus on the vision. Now, over Christmas, and New Year, you've got a perfect opportunity to sit down and have a bit of downtime, get your pen and notepad out and start thrashing out, right, what does my business look like in 12 months? I've got to grow the business. And I'm not saying that you've got to sort of like put an extra £1 million turnover on and start employing more staff. I'm not saying that. For some of you want to do that. And for some of you're happy where you're at. But the reason why I keep saying you've got to grow your business is if your business is stagnant and you're not developing and you're not moving it forward and there's no innovation coming into your business and we're not looking at new products and services and niching down and how can we improve and be slicker and faster and more efficient, if we just sat there doing the same thing year in, year out, you are falling behind. You are not staying where you are, you're falling behind because the world is fast moving. Your competitors have got that drive, have got that passion, have got that determination. They do want to improve and excel. So while ever you're sat there plodding on, everybody around you, including all of my inner circle members, are coming steamrolling straight past you and they're going to milk it. They're going to clear up. Why? Because you haven't got the vision and you're just static. And a static business is not staying where it is, it's dying because everybody and everything around you is moving forward. So what you need to do is you need to get some real clarity of where your business will be in the next 12 months. And this vision that you come up with has got to be shared with your team. Now, if you're anything like I used to be 18 years ago with a fixed, closed mindset, and you'd have told me this 18 years ago, I'd have been like, I'm not sharing my vision and my business with my team. That's got nothing to do with them. This is my business. I just employ them. If I want to take my business in a certain direction, I'm going to keep it to myself because it's nothing to do with them. And if I did share it, what's to stop them nicking my ideas and running with it themselves? That's what a negative closed mindset I used to have. But now I'm saying to you, if you do not share your vision with your team, and that could be just literally, you might say, Craig, I've only got an apprentice, it's me and an apprentice. Right, share that vision with your apprentice. You might say, Craig, I've got 10 members of employed staff and 5 subcontractors. Right, first thing I'll be doing on this next week is calling a team meeting and sharing the vision of where we're taking this business over this next 12 months. Because you cannot build and grow and scale a business that's going to look after you and your family for the rest of your life if you're going to do all the work, Because there's only 168 hours in a week. You can't do all the work yourself. So you've got to start outsourcing. And your team are there to help you achieve that goal and that vision quicker and faster and slicker. You employ a team to help that. Your team's designed to help you to get to your goal quicker. So if you're not going to share the vision with any of your team, they're working blind. So how can they help you achieve your vision and your goal if they don't understand what it is and how they're going to get there? So we've got to share the vision. Now, when I'm sat down creating my vision, I don't just write random things down. What I do is I look at every single different area that goes into a business, such as marketing, cash and finance, your team, systems, sales. I look at all these different areas. And what I do is I create a 12-month vision for each of those individual areas. So rather than just looking at the business in general and being a bit blasé with it all, I'll say, right, these are all the areas that make up a business. If I had to create a 12-month vision solely around my marketing and what I need to be doing within the next 12 months, what would I need to be doing with my marketing? Then I'll look at the cash and finance and I'll say, right, over the next 12 months, for me to improve my profits and stop overpaying on taxes, what do I need to improve? What do I need to do over the next 12 months when it comes to the numbers in my business? Then I'll look at the systems and I'll say, right, in the next 12 months, we need to improve our systems and our automations and our pipelines and our funnels. What do we need to do and how we're going to do that? So what I do is I look at all the different areas of a business and I break each area down into its own mini vision. And then combined all that lot together, that becomes your new vision of your business. And that is what we're going to share with our team. Remember, sometimes you don't have clarity of where you're going because you're knee deep in the day-to-day grind. So if we're not spending time, downtime, headspace time, sitting down and creating that new vision and sharing it with our team, you're not going to achieve what you want to achieve this year because one, you're on the rat race and on the hamster wheel and you've just been a bit blasé with it all and you're in the rat race, and two, your team ain't got a Scooby-Doo where you're heading. So how are you supposed to get there? You need the vision. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to suggest that at the end of this episode, once you've done the mindset and personal development, 2 episodes I've already shared with you, I want you to go and check out episode number 35. Because in episode number 35, I teach you what all these different areas of business are that I break down and create a vision around. I give you every single area on what you need to do to create your vision. But I also go a step further than that, because what I do is I teach you then how to get that vision and turn it into a business plan. So we're going to take that vision and that view of the business and turn it into a 12-month business plan. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take that 12-month business plan and we're going to break that down into a 90-day plan. In other words, your first quarter of your 12-month plan, we're going to lift that off the 12-month plan and break that down into a 90-day, 3-month quarterly plan so you can get laser focused on what you need to be working on in your business for them first 90 days, that first quarter, that's lifted off a 12-month plan of where you're heading, that's come from you creating the vision in the first place. So if you've not gotten to that level of detail yet, and you're into January already, and you ain't got a real plan and a vision of where you're going, how the hell are you supposed to get to somewhere where you don't even know exists? Business area number 3 is understanding the numbers in your own business. In other words, finances, money, profit, you have got to get topside of what these numbers are in a business. If you think about this, your business is just a vehicle that you step into every single day. And that vehicle, right, provides you with a financial reward, whether that be every month or every week, provides you with a financial reward. And that financial reward then determines and dictates you and your family's lifestyle. Now, I'm not saying that everybody wants a big flash house and a big flash car and go on holiday 2 or 3 times a year. I'm not saying that. Everybody's goals and everybody's motivation is different. The why, the purpose of what they do is different. But you can't get away from the fact that you're in business to make profit. End of. If you're not in business to make profit, then what are you doing? Now, my methodology and way of thinking is, if I'm going to go into set up a business and I know I've got to make profit, and it's going to take me time and effort, and sometimes it's going to take me sacrifices. I'm going to have to sweat blood in this business. I'm going to have to work long hours maybe to start off with. If I'm committing to doing all that, surely it just makes sense for you to commit to making as much net profit as you can. Because I'm not saying money's going to buy you happiness. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is money gives you choices, right? And those choices can then determine the lifestyle that you and your family deserve. Now, it's a sad reality that the majority of small businesses or medium-sized businesses, the business owner is not making nowhere near enough profit for the time and effort and sacrifice and commitment and the sweat of blood that they're putting into the business. They're not making nowhere near enough profit. But that's not the business's fault. That's the business owner's fault for not, first of all, understanding and learning about the numbers in a business. Come on. If we're in business to make profit, surely you must understand how the numbers work and how to increase your profit margins without overpaying on taxes. Surely that's the first rule of thumb when it comes to business, isn't it? But no, it's not. And I fell a victim of this 30 years ago when I set up as a self-employed joiner. I was great with my hands. I could build a house, no problem. But when it comes to the finances in the business, I was always shit at maths at school, being honest. I was crap at maths. I came from a family and a background where we didn't have sweet FA. We had nothing. I lived in a 2-bedroom terrace in a not a very nice area of Sheffield. My dad's a butcher. My mum were a lollipop woman, right? So you can imagine we had nothing. So I didn't have a good relationship with money because I'd never had it. So when I started setting up this business and I'm thinking I'm going to make all this money and it didn't start to come, but I wanted the lifestyle. I wanted a nicer house for my family. I wanted a nicer car to drive. I wanted to buy a new van. I wanted to have a new website. When all this ambition comes into it, if the business is not making the net profit margins to sustain the business, but more importantly, to sustain a lifestyle that you crave, then ultimately you're going to end up getting yourself in debt because you're going to be taking too much money out of the business to feed the lifestyle that you cannot afford. So it's imperative that we understand the numbers in our business. And I'm talking about things such as you need to start to learn how to price jobs correctly. Because there'll be some of you that actually don't know how to price a job correctly. All you're doing is you're taking your labour You're taking your materials, you're whacking some profit on that you just conjure up out of thin air, and then you're doing a job and you're hoping and praying that at the end of that job that you've quoted it right and you've allowed for the right amount of materials and you've allowed for the right amount of labour costs. And if you have, you're keeping your fingers crossed that the money that's left on the job becomes profit. But we're not factoring in running costs of our business and the overheads and the overhead contribution that we need to be assigning to each job that we quote. So some of us are quoting the jobs wrong. And if you're anything like I used to be, have you ever done this where you've done a quote and then you look at it and you go, flipping heck, that seems a lot. Really? Have I done this right? And you look at the number and you go, would I actually pay that? And you start questioning yourself. And then that little devil pops up on your shoulder and says, you can't afford to charge that. You're never going to win work. And self-sabotage and limiting beliefs start to creep in. And then you look at that and you go, nah, I tell you what, I'll knock £1,000 off. And you just pluck this figure out of fresh air. I tell you what, I'll just knock that off. And then you knock £1,000 off or whatever. And then you go, oh, that looks a bit better. And then you put price in. I mean, how the fuck are you supposed to build a business that's going to look after you and your family for the rest of your life if that's how you're messing around with your pricing? Some of you don't even know the basics, such as what your gross profit is, or your gross profit margin, or your net profit, or your net profit margins. You're not even tracking your profit per job or per given period of time. Like every month, let me look at my gross and my net profit. You're not doing that. Some of you don't know what your break-even figure is in your business. In other words, you've acquired overheads. You've got fixed costs that no matter what you do, whether you fit one new boiler or hang one door or fit 500 new boilers or hang 500 doors, you've still got fixed costs. In other words, for you just to switch the lights on in your business and run, you've got overheads, you've got fixed costs. You need to know what that break-even figure is in your business. So for me, I might have had to have hung 300 doors in a month before I make profit. For others, you might say, well, I've got to fit 4 boilers a month before I'm in profit. For others, you might say, well, I've got to do 2 re-roofs before I'm in profit, because you don't know what your break-even figures are. You don't even know how to read a set of accounts. If you're limited, you'll get a set of company accounts at the end of every year. And for many people, you'll sit down with your accountant, and let's face it, right, most accountants are really poor, this shit, right? And what I mean by that is, you've got an accountant who contacts you maybe 2 or 3 times a year. Oh, we need to have a chat about your accounts. Or you need to send us in all your invoices. Or we need to have a quick meeting about this because your self-assessment tax or your corporation tax or your end-of-year accounts are due. And then you have a meeting with your accountant and they start coming out with things like dividends and directors' loan accounts, and this is sat on your balance sheet, and you've got an overdrawn director's loan account, and they start coming up with all these big words, and you haven't got a clue what they're talking about. And you might ask them, and then they might explain it to you again, and you still don't get it. But you're that nervous about asking for a second or third time, you just sit there nodding your head as though you fully understand what's happening in your business. And then your accountant says, right, sign your accounts off then. So you sign for something that you've got absolutely no idea what you're signing for. And then next minute, accountant says, okay, so you've got a self-assessment tax return to pay at the end of January, and that's 13,000 quid. And oh, by the way, you've made profit in your business, which is great this year. So you've got a corporation tax bill of £43,000. And you sit there going, what? 13 grand tax bill to pay in January. £43,000 corporation tax bill. 1, I don't get why I'm paying it. And 2, where's the money? Because I haven't got like 50 grand sat in my bank account. The money's not there. So what do? You start to use your VAT money as an overdraft to start paying your tax. And then before you know it, you're starting to get into debt. So all these numbers, as someone running a business that's designed to make you profit, surely you should understand the numbers in your business. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to recommend another podcast episode. And I'm recommending this one particular because this is episode number 18, and it's called the 15 cash flow disasters to avoid to stop you losing money in your business. So I'm a firm believer in, before we can start to increase profits and start to move the numbers around, you first of all have got to understand where you're losing money or breaking even, or if you're in debt, why have you got in debt? You would need to understand the reasons why first. Then when you understand the mistakes that you've made, we can then start to put things back together. So episode 18, 15 cash flow disasters to avoid to stop you losing money in your business. I went to go and have a look at and listen to them 15 different types of cash flow disasters, and then understand what the mistakes are that you've made. Now, my advice to you is this. Your accountant is part of your team. Your accountant should be somebody that works with you every month or every quarter on showing you how to improve your profit margins, but at the same time advising you on how to not overpay on your taxes. And if you've got one of these accountants that you hardly ever hear from, or you don't sit down and have meetings with, or your accountant's not ringing you up saying, right, there's a regulation that's changed, HMRC's changed this, or the budget's happened and this is now affecting things, you need to come in and we need to sit down and we need to plan out the next quarter or the next year, or we need to start moving things around so you don't get hammered on tax. If you haven't got an accountant that helps you to make more profit and stop overpaying on taxes, then what the hell are you doing? So my advice to you would be, you need to change your accountant, because your accountant is part of your team. My accountant makes me an incredible amount of profit. But what she also does, she also, at the end of every year, looks all my different businesses and we look at how we can move money around to stop overpaying on taxes. And then she'll say to me, Craig, you need to go and buy. She said this to me, honestly, she said this to me within the last 2 months. Right, Craig, your profit margins are at this, right? And if you don't go and buy a new asset, right, your corporation tax bill, in other words, the money that you need to pay to HMRC is going to be X amount. And I don't want you paying that. So what I want you to do is I want you to go and buy another electric car. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't need another electric car. You said that 2 years ago and I went and bought one. Go and buy a Porsche Taycan, right? And then buying that asset is going to reduce your tax. So you get a nice new car, you get to keep some money, and you don't have to pay the HMRC as much in corporation tax. You might as well have the benefit. You're the one that's grafted your nuts off for 31 years growing a business. You might as well have it rather than paying it over to taxman. I sit down with my accountant and every quarter we run through the numbers and we plan for the next quarter. So all this is what an accountant should be doing to help you as a client to grow your business. Now, I know what comes. Everybody says to me, Craig, who's your accountant? Can I use them? Now, I'm not going to publicly name that person on this episode or that business. However, when you become a Trades Freedom Club member and you get access to our new training platform, you're going to get live coaching events, live Q&A sessions. We've got courses in there all on gross profit, net profit, how you work out your overheads, how you work out your hourly rates, all that lot is already inside our new training platform that when you join us, you're going to get access to anyway. So you're going to end up meeting my accountant anyway. But what I'm saying is you've got to get topside of them numbers. So episode number 18, right, is one of the episodes I want you to go back and listen to after this episode. Business area number 4 is niching down. Now, this ties in very nicely to the previous area that we've just discussed and gone through, which is the numbers in your business. Because what I mean by niching down is there's too many businesses out there that are providing too many different services or different products. And therefore you are watering down your profit margins. Let me explain. When I first set up as a joiner, self-employed joiner, I did literally everything and anything that a joiner could do. So I'm a bench joiner by trade, did my 5-year apprenticeship on a bench in a joinery manufacturing workshop. So I could manufacture doors, windows, stairs, conservatories, shop fronts, bar fronts, everything. So when I first set up on my own, I'm like, right, I'm a bench joiner, but I can also do first fix. I can also do second fix. I can also do finishing joinery. I can do cabinet making. I can do house bashing. I can do refurb work. I can do shop fitting, bar fitting. So just because my trade and my skill set allowed me to do all them different services, then guess what happened when I first set up? I advertised all of them different services. So 1 week I'd be manufacturing an 8-kite winding staircase and fitting that in a loft conversion. The week after I might be on an house bash. The week after that, I might be doing some second fix on an extension. Are you with me? I was doing loads of different things because my trade and my skill set and my craft allowed me to do that. Now that is flipping dangerous, because how can you maximize profitability in your business when you're doing all these different services? How can you then get the marketing right to attract more of the profitable jobs that you do when you don't understand the numbers? And now all of a sudden your marketing is scattergun. Because 1 week you're marketing this, then you're marketing that, then you're doing this, then you're doing that. And your marketing is just random scattergun crap about everything that you do in your business. So your marketing dilutes. How could I have systemized a business doing everything that a joiner can do? Because I can't put a system and a pipeline and a funnel in place for hanging doors, then putting a hip and pitch roof on, then building a new house build, then doing a shop fit, then manufacturing a conservatory. How am I supposed to systemize all of them different services? It's impossible. So by niching down and first of all, looking at the numbers in your business and assessing, right, out of all the stuff that I can do, let's take an electrician. It's easy. An electrician can be doing a first fix for a local builder. He could then 2 weeks later, after plasterers been in, go and do the second fix for that builder. But in between that, he could fit a consumer unit. And then in between that, they could do 2 rewire jobs. Then in between that, they could fit 4 houses full of solar panels. Then in between that, they could do some pat testing. Then in between that, they could do some EV charging point installations. Are you with me? They could do all that. Why? Because they're a Sparky. And their skill set and craftsmanship says that they can do that. But what I'm saying is, when we understand the numbers in our business, we can say, hang on a minute. Yes, we can do all that, But just because we can do it all doesn't mean to say that we should be doing it all. If we want to maximise profitability, market our business to attract them most profitable jobs, and then systemize the business solely for one or two services that we offer, that's where we need to be. So what I'm suggesting that you do with your new accountant is you sit down and you say, look, I'm doing all these different services. I want you, Mr. or Mrs. Accountant, to sit down with me and work out what is the most profitable service that I can offer in my business, and work the numbers out. And then your accountant and yourself will say, right, do this and this. And if we could generate enough leads coming in, just to do that one or two or three things, you're going to make so much more profit if we can do that. So your first job is to identify, out of all the different services that you offer, which one makes you the most amount of profit. Now, when I did this 18 years ago, and I sat down and went through these numbers that I'd never done before, it materialised that out of all of the different services that I offered as a joiner, loft conversions made me more profit than anything else that I did. So when I understood this, I'm like, right, if I can now do more loft conversions every day that me or my team leave their house and get in one of my vans and go to work and graft for 8 hours on tools, they need to be grafting, building loft conversions. Not doing first fix for an architect, not manufacturing an 8-kite staircase winding flight of stairs, not fixing leaky gutters or doing re-roofs. No, what we need to be doing every day of the week, me and my team need to be doing loft conversions. Now, when we understood this, I'm like, that's great. But at that time, I'd got 7 members of staff on the books, and I'm guessing probably 4 or 5 subbies. So when we looked at how many loft conversions we'd actually done the previous year, I'm sat there thinking, I understand lofts make me money, but I don't generate enough leads coming in to just solely do loft conversions. So what I did is I got laser focused on my marketing and my attract strategy. And then all my marketing, instead of being scattergun, we hang doors, we do roofing, we do house bashing, we can build a new build, whatever. Instead of my marketing being scattergun, we got laser focused on creating quality content to attract loft conversion leads into my business. So we had a new website built, I had a rebrand, I made the business all about loft conversions, we got the SEO right, and I'm talking 15 years ago, we started doing SEO blog articles. In 2010, I had my first videos on my YouTube channel of us building loft conversions, and I'm talking back in 2010, 15 years ago. We got all the marketing laser focused, and then lo and behold, over the coming months, guess what happened? We started generating more profitable leads coming in solely for loft conversions. So now all of a sudden, instead of my team going out doing willy-nilly joinery, where some days they'd make money, some services would break even, some services would lose money on, I knew now that I'd got enough profitable work coming in for loft conversions because we'd focused our energy on creating our marketing content for our most profitable product and service. Then what we did is we said, this is brilliant. We're making more money than we've ever made before, and we're doing the same job day after day after day, i.e., all we do is build loft conversions. So when it came to putting the systems and the processes in place and starting to build a the automations and the pipelines, it was a doddle. Because now all we've got to do is systemize a loft conversion business. That's it. And over the next 18 months, we put all the systems in place. And at that point then, we were generating leads coming into my business purely for lofts. The leads came in, and then the processes and the systems took care of the running of the business. 18 months later, I take a step back from the business. I'm making more profit than I've ever made before. I've got a business that's systemized, and I've got a team that's like a military operation, because every day all we did were lofts. So when I'm talking about niching down, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Looking at all the different services that you do and can offer in the trade that you are, but then asking yourself, hang on a minute, if I could just do one thing or maybe two things that would maximize the profits in this business, what would they be? When we know that, we get the marketing strategy built around that product or service. And as the leads start to fly in, we then put the systems in place by using either ServiceMate or Leadzilla or both, that takes care of the entire running of the business. At that point, I'd achieved time and financial freedom in my business for the first time. But the previous 12 years, before I understood all this, I was that ultimate busy fool. All I had to do all along was business area number one that I've already shared with you, and that is have a change in mindset and personally develop myself. Because when I understood that I'd been the biggest obstacle and I'd been the biggest hurdle in my business for them first 12 years that cost, and I sacrificed everything in, I'm like, you fucking idiot, Craig. Why didn't anyone just tell you this on day one? If they'd have told me all this on day one that I'm sharing with you now, I'd have become a millionaire. I'd have done what I needed to have done and achieved time and financial freedom a lot freaking quicker than I did do grafting me bollocks off for them first 12 years. Business area number 5, and that is your time management. Now, you'll hear of people talking about this thing called work-life balance. And I think that's utter nonsense. I think whoever came up with that word balance is ridiculous, right? I want you to replace the word balance with the word choice. And what I talk about is having a work-life choice. And what I mean by the word choice is, surely, as a business owner, you should have a choice of where you spend your time and spend your money. Now, we've already alluded to that many business owners don't control their money and their finances. The business dictates and controls that. And we've established that's because they don't understand the numbers in the business. But in terms of time, we need to have a choice of what we do with our time. Now, I'm not saying anybody has got to work the least amount of hours. I'm not saying that. I choose to work 2.5, 3 days a week. And if I wanted to work less, I could. But I've got that choice of what I want to do with my time. Whereas them first 12 years of me being a busy fool, time controlled me. And I were working literally 90 hours a week. Now, don't get me wrong, in the early years of you setting up your business, you've got to put the graft in because you're starting out. You've got to get out of that survival stage and you've got to get your reputation out there. You've got to get work coming in and you've got to build that authority. I get that. So I know that we've got to put time, effort and graft into our business initially, but come on, if you've been running a business for more than 3 years, in my opinion, and you are working long hours or you haven't got the time that you want for yourself, for things like your hobbies or your family or holidays or the things that you want to do, then your business is controlling your time. Now, I don't know about you, But I never set up and became self-employed and director of a limited company for my time to be dictated to by my business. So I'm a big believer in achieving a work-life choice. If you want to go graft 60 hours a week, go and graft 60 hours a week. But if you've got a choice to say, well, actually, next week, I've put the graft in, next week, I'm only going to work 2 days and have some time off with my family or doing the hobbies or making memories, then surely that's where we need to be. So when it comes to time management, I want you to write these words down, right? You have got to stop trading time for money. Let me say it again. You've got to stop trading your time for money. Because I used to think the more hours I worked, the more hours I grafted on tools, the more hours I stayed up till midnight quoting and pricing jobs and sending invoices out, the more I would grow in my business. And I'm telling you now, that is not how it works. That's what busy fools do for a living. For you to achieve that time freedom, what we need to do is stop trading time for money. And here's what I mean. For people that have got themselves in a financial pickle, whether that's serious debt or a little bit of debt, or you've got an overdraft facility, or you've used your VAT money to pay for your taxes, or you've used your VAT money to pay for materials on the next job, or you've taken a deposit off a customer for the next job, but you're having to use that money to fund the existing job. If that's you, then you are going to end up being a busy fool. Because now you've put yourself in a position of debt. You've got to work, or you believe you've got to work as many hours as you can to get the money to pay the debt off, right? But if we rewind back to understanding the numbers in your business, what's the point of you working 6 days a week or sacrificing that quality time that you should be spending on yourself or your loved ones if all you're doing is breaking even? It's crazy. You're never going to get yourself out of that financial pickle if you don't understand the numbers. So yes, you might be grafting and you're forced to graft because you've got to maybe pay a little bit of debt back. But if you're not making profit on the time that you're grafting, the debt's never getting paid back. In fact, in actual fact, it's getting worse. Hence the reason why I'm saying you have to understand the numbers in your business. Now, when we do that, we've got to stop trading our time for money. And what I'm saying here is this. I've had many heated discussions with financial people over the years where they said to me, Craig, cash is king in businesses. If you don't have the money coming into your business and you're not making profit, then you're going to fall into debt. And worst case scenario is you're going to go bust and you're going to liquidate your business. So money is the most important thing in business. And I argue back with this. For me, money is the second most important area of business. And I can prove that because for those people that are, let's say, tinkering on the breadline or are in debt, right? And you are forced to be working and taking jobs on that you wouldn't normally take on because you need the money. If I were to say to you, right, stop what you're doing right now and tomorrow come to my office and we're going to spend the next week or even 2 weeks, whatever it takes, to sort out your cash flow problems once and for all. Do you think if you were to come and sit next to me for the next 40 hours the next week, we could resolve your cash flow problems? Answer to that, yes, Craig, of course we can. But how many of you tomorrow literally can stop what you're doing and come and spend the next week or 2 weeks sat next to me to sort that problem out? Answer, not many. And that's because you haven't got the time freedom to allow you to do that. So So if we keep chasing the money and we don't understand the numbers in this business and we're breaking even or losing money on jobs, then you're never going to get out of that situation. What we've got to do is we've got to free up your time so you can spend time working on these areas of your business that I'm teaching you about in this episode. And until we free up that time and you get control of it, to allow us to get control of your finances, that then allow us time to get control of your relationships, until that point, you will never achieve time and financial freedom in your business and in your life. Time is the most valuable currency known to mankind. Now, I can always make you more money. I can make you more profit. In fact, I'll do that now. Put your prices up by 10% today. Now, for the people that have got the right mindset, business area number 1 that I talked about, and they've been developing themselves and they've got a growth mindset, what's to stop you from putting your prices up by 10, 15% today? Because even if you don't win as much work, the work that you are winning is more profitable, which means you don't have to do as much of it, which does what? It frees up your time. But for those that have got a fixed or closed mindset, you'll be sat here now going, Craig, I can't put my prices up by 10 or 15%. I'm already like at the top end against my competitors. If I put my prices up by 10 or 15% now, I'm never going to win business. Rubbish. Of course you can still win business. You just need to change your mindset and change your approach on how to do it. Are you with me? So we can always make more money. What we cannot do is make more time. So your time is far more valuable than money. And deep down, everybody knows this. So if everybody knows it, why are some of you trading your time for money? Why are you doing that? You're doing it because you think the more hours I graft, the more money I'll make, the more profit I'll bring into my business. And that's not how it works. I'm telling you now, if you could free up some of your time and start implementing that time into making more profit, right? You can make more profit for the least amount of time. In other words, you can make more money and work less hours, and that's exactly where we need to be. Now, before I share with you the podcast episode that I want you to go and listen to around time, right, I want to leave you with this. From this point on, I want you to think about time being a currency. So just like your money, you put your money into a bank and the currency of money sits in your bank every day, every week, every year. And your job as a business owner is for that money to accumulate and grow. If we start to go overdrawn at the bank and we start to get ourselves in debt, then clearly what we are doing is not working. So just like you put your money in a bank to grow, I want you to think about putting your time in a bank to grow. So on a Monday morning, when your eyes wake up at whatever time they wake up, for me it's 2:15 to 4:30 in the morning because I've got a strict morning routine. When my eyes wake up, my time bank starts ticking. And I've only got 168 hours in my time bank to spend in a week. And what my job is as a business owner is to make sure that when I get to the end of the week, I've still got enough time left in my time bank to have a choice of what I want to do with it. Whether I want to go to gym, whether I want to go to match and watch my beloved Sheffield United, whether I want to go and spend it with my kids or my grandkids, or whether I just want to go out and have some chill out, some me time and go for a walk and put my headphones on. I've got that choice because I understand the value of time. Your job as a business owner is the same as mine. You've got to make sure that that bank of money is growing and accumulating. But the bank of time, at the end of the week, you've got enough time left in the bank to do what you want to do. And in most cases, most business owners, their bank account is not accumulating with money, and they get to the end of every week, and at the end of every week, they still haven't got enough time left in the week to get everything done just for the business. Never mind the me time and the family time. Are you with me? So if you're sat here now going, well, Craig, my bank account's not growing, and I don't seem to ever have enough time, what's going wrong in the business? Because something's not right. And what's not right is, with respect, it's you. You're the biggest obstacle and the hurdle in your business. And until you change that mindset to make that shift and that change, nothing's going to change. You see where I'm going? So what I want you to do is I want you to go and listen, right, to episode number 4. Because in episode number 4, I share with you one of the most valuable tools that will help you to get super organised and start to manage your time so you can become more productive and more efficient. And that is, I teach you how to create a default diary. And if you've ever seen any of my content on social media channels or any of my videos, or you listen to this podcast, you will know that I talk about default diaries. And I run my business and I run my life through my default diary. And what I teach you about this default diary, I teach you how to populate this diary with all the default things that you do in your business and in your life. And if you imagine your diary being white, it's just full of white space. There's not an entry in your diary. By the time we start putting the time into your diary for everything that you do in your business and your time for your family and your me time, all of a sudden that white space starts to get taken over with diary entries. And when you first do this, you're not going to have any white space. Your diary is going to be full of different colour, and the colours represent the different tasks that you do in your business and your life. What I'm saying is, to get a work-life choice, we need to be seeing a lot of that colour disappearing and white space appearing. Because when white space appears in your default diary, all of a sudden, you've got a work-life choice. In other words, you get to the end of your week and you've still got time left in your time bank to invest that time into doing what makes you and your family happy. So that's episode number 4. Business area number 6 that you need to focus on is your marketing strategy. Now, the first thing I want you to write down and take stock of, and again, this is a mindset shift, and that is something that I teach all my inner circle members when they join me on my program right up front. And I tell them this: before you can become the trades person that runs that trades business, before you can get them tools, or your team, if you're already off the tools, your team get the tools out the back of the van to go and do a job, in today's day and age, you've got to become these 2 words. Write them down. Content creator. You've now got to become a content creator. Because if you're not creating the right level of content and the right amount of content and sharing that content in the right areas, then clearly you're not going to generate enough leads coming in. Now, right now, you might be generating enough leads coming into your business to keep you and your team going as you are right now. But if your aspirations are, Craig, I want to grow and scale my business over the next 12 months, then clearly you're going to need more leads. But the way in which you're going to get more leads is by creating content in the first place that's going to attract your target market in the highest concentration to your business, where you can then offer your number one most profitable product or service. So we've got to understand that in today's modern day and age of marketing, where we've got TikTok and all these different social media platforms, we've got YouTube, we've got all these video platforms now. All the social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, X, Threads, they're all out there. We need to be putting the right content out on places like social media. We need to be creating the right content to sit on our website, such as SEO'd blog articles that are going to rank on Google. We now need to start using landing pages, and we need to start using funnels, which is the new way of marketing. You've only got to look at what's exploded on scenes this last year in 2024 that we've just gone through, and that's AI. AI is taking over the world. So if you want to stay ahead of the curve, and if you want to be the go-to number one company in your area for your product or service, then you've got to be marketing the holy hell out of your business. Now, the sad reality is that a lot of businesses are saying that 2024, they had a dip in leads coming into their business. And we predicted this. And that's because of the backlash and the back end of COVID. Yeah, it was always going to catch up with us. However, I disagree with that, because 2024 in all my businesses has been the best year we've ever had. And likewise, for many of my inner circle members, if you were to speak to them, the ones that have dominated their marketing strategy, they'll tell you that they've had the most successful year ever themselves. And that's because they've started to create different content to what they've used to creating. Why? They've become content creators. So we've got to understand that we are now not just trades businesses. We are content creators first and foremost, that's got to create the right content to attract the right target market to sell them our most profitable products and services. So these are the areas that I want you to get laser focused on in 2025. Let me share the strategy with you. If you are using social media correctly, and I mean this correctly, and you're not winging it, just putting random posts out at random times to a random target market, if you're using social media the way in which I teach you and you understand how the algorithms work, we need to be using social media as the biggest part of what I call our attract strategy. In other words, we've got to attract our target market to our business. And the best way of doing that is social media platforms and channels, where we're putting the right content out at the right times to a target market that we've already identified would be interested in the product and service that we offer. So we're going to use social media that's free. It's all free. You're not going to have to pay for any of this. We're going to use the free social media channels to get your business brand and to get people to know you, like you, and trust you across your social platforms. But then the strategy I teach my inner circle members is, once we've got the social media strategy right and we're creating the right content, we need to drive that traffic off social media platforms back to your 3 ultimate sales tools. Write these down. Ultimate sales tool number 1 is your website. Ultimate sales tool number 2 is a landing page. An ultimate sales tool number 3 is a funnel. Now, I'm pretty sure everybody knows what a website is, but the new way of marketing for trades businesses is to not rely on your website. It's to rely on landing pages and funnels. So what we're going to do is we're going to use social media to get people to know, like, and trust us through the content we create. We're going to drive traffic off social media back to our ultimate sales tool, which is either a website, a landing page, or a funnel. But the next part of this strategy is when then leads come into our business through the website, landing page, or funnel, we've got to get rid of all the time wasters and all the tire kickers that you're going to attract to your business. Because when you put the content out, you've got absolutely no idea who's a time waster and a tire kicker, or what I call a pre-sold, ready-to-buy customer. All we want to attract is pre-sold, ready-to-buy customers. We've got to get rid of them time wasters and tire kickers. So the next part of your new marketing strategy needs to be you're going to send that traffic into a vetting form. And that vetting form is going to ask a series of different questions. And the answers to them questions are going to determine whether, one, they're a time and waster or tire kicker, and if so, we get rid of them at that point. Or number 2, if they are interested and they've got the right budget and we can install in their time scales and all that lot, if they have got the right budget and they are the right target market, we'll let them go through the vetting form. And at that point, you know that when you speak to that customer or you go out and do a survey, whether that be a video survey, a photo survey, or a home or site survey, you know that they've got the budget and they're interested and they're serious about what it is you're selling. Now, that strategy is a strategy within itself, but when we break that strategy down, number 1, you need a social media strategy. Number 2, you need a website, landing page, or funnel strategy. And number 3, you need a vetting strategy. Now, when we put that in place, that I believe every trades or construction business owner must have in place, when we become a content creator and we start creating the right content, we automatically push them back to the, let's say, the landing page. They automatically go through the vetting form. You are now left with a pre-sold, ready-to-buy customer. And it's at that point when your business will start to generate your profitable leads. But remember, behind all this, you are now only offering your most profitable product or service. Why? Because you've run the numbers on every service that you offer and you've got rid of all the services that either break you even or make you little profit. Now you're at a point where every lead that comes in has been vetted and every lead that comes in is only for your most profitable product and service. Now, when it comes to marketing, there are so many podcasts I can recommend. In fact, I could recommend 5 or 6 podcast episodes for each one of these areas we've covered. But the one that I'm going to ask you to go away and check out for your marketing strategy is episode number 12. Because in episode 12, I teach you the 5-step marketing strategy that you need to implement and put in place to skyrocket your leads and increase your conversion rates and percentages. So that's episode number 12. Business area number 7 is systems and automation. And what I mean by this is, if you think about the journey I've just taken you on, right at the very beginning, I'm saying, let's sort us mindset out, right? Let's get them new habits. Let's get that new motivation and personal development in. Let's look at business in a different light. To do that, you need to change your mindset. Number 2, I said, right, now we've got that new mindset, let's start to create the new business vision of where we're heading. So now we've got a plan of where we're going and we're no longer winging it. Number 3, I said, right, let's get top side of those numbers. Let's work with our accountant to identify all the most important numbers in his business and what product or service makes us the most amount of profit. Number 4, which is niching down. When we've identified what does make us the profit, I'm going to suggest that you get laser focused and start niching down on that product and that service and get rid of all the other things that aren't making you money. Number 5, now we're starting to make money, time management kicks in and we need to start to get more work-life choice. We need to start to get our time back. It's okay making money, but if you're still working 80, 90 hours a week to make the money, you're never going to have enough time to enjoy it, are you? So area number 5 was time management. Let's get more productive, more efficient. Let's understand that at the end of every week, we need to have time left in our time bank to enjoy our life. Area number 6, which we've just covered, is your marketing strategy. Now, because we've understood the numbers in his business, we're now starting to attract pre-qualified, vetted leads for our most profitable product and service. So area number 7, this all makes sense now, because area number 7 is, well, what happens if I start generating all these profitable leads, Craig, but I don't have any systems or any automation or any software dealing with it? Well, what's going to happen then is you're going to have to manually deal with every single lead and inquiry that comes in. And if that lead and inquiry goes on to become a customer, you've now got the whole process of sorting out materials, sorting out labour, communicating with customer, and project managing that job. It's going to take time. So what we need to make sure is, at this point when the leads are coming in, we need to have the systems and the automations in place to allow us to start to systemize and automate the entire running of our business. So now we're not manually having to deal with all the leads coming in, and we're not manually having to price every job, and we're not manually having to order materials, and we're not manually having to communicate with customers. All that lot can be automated and systemized. And it's when we do point 7 or area number 7 that you are now seriously working towards time and financial freedom, because the systems are now starting to run the business, freeing up your time, but now the business is making profit. Are you with me? So what I want you to get laser focused on are 2 pieces of software that will run your trades business. Number 1, you are going to need a piece of software that is going to look after all the marketing and all the leads that come in, and then the sales process and the sales pipeline of turning that lead into a paying customer. Now, for openness and transparency, right, I'm not just going to give you the one that we use and we recommend, because me and Jamie own that business. So I'm not going to just give you that. I'm going to give you other options to be transparent that there's more than one option for you to systemize your business, right? So, number 1, our recommendation to look after your marketing and your sales is our software called Leadzilla. And Leadzilla will do everything that I'm sharing with you now. But for openness and transparency, I'm going to give you 2 other systems that do similar to Leadzilla. They don't do quite as much, but nevertheless, they're a great start. Number 1 is a piece of software called HubSpot. And the second is called Keep. K-E-A-P. Keep. Now, any one of them pieces of software will help you massively with your marketing and your sales. So they'll deal with the lead coming in. They can start to deal with all your conversion rates and your metrics, so you know where the leads come from. Then if we convert that lead into a paying customer, we've now got a dashboard that starts to say, hang on a minute, social media bring us more leads in, and 73% of our leads over this last quarter have come from social media. It does lead source tracking. So we can not only deal with the lead, but we can also put some figures and facts and matrix behind them and start to look at where all our leads are coming from, which is important. But at the same time, when that lead comes in, we want that lead to go on to what we call a sales pipeline. In other words, it's coming as a lead, but we've got all these different stages or steps that we've got to get that potential customer down before they become a paying customer. Example, we've got to vet them. Next stage is we need to speak to the customer, and we might have to book in a home survey. Right, when that home survey is booked in, we're going to need a calendar to book it in on. When it's booked in, we need to trigger an automated email and text message confirming that appointment. In the lead up to that home survey or site survey, we need to trigger another email and text reminding them that we're coming. Then we need to go out and we need to do a site survey, home survey, and have a measure up. Then we need to produce a price. Then we've got to put an estimate, quote, or proposal together. Then we've got to send it off. Then we've got to follow it up. So there's probably 10 steps there alone that you've got to go through, whereas many businesses are doing that manually at the minute, right? Well, if you've got 10 steps that you're having to do manually and you've not even got the job yet, all you've done is price it, and you've got 10 customers coming in, you've got 100 different tasks that need doing. You can't remember to do all them tasks yourself if they're all in your head. And even if you could and you didn't drop any plates, your time is going to be eaten up. And this is why we stay up till midnight doing his pricing, his paperwork and his invoicing. Those 3 pieces of software, in particular Leadzilla, will sort all that lot out for you and do that automatically without you having to do a great deal. Now, what I want you to consider now is, let's assume that that customer says, Craig, I want to go ahead with that loft conversion. What's the next stage? Brilliant, we've got a new customer. But from that point, them details need to be added into another piece of software. And this other piece of software is what we call job management. So Leadzilla has looked after the sales and the marketing side, and we've got the job. But from that point, them details need adding into a job management piece of software. And this job management piece of software is going to deal with the running and the organisation of that job. So for instance, it can deal with the ordering of the materials for that job with your suppliers. We can start to organise our labour on who's going to be doing that job and when they're going to be doing it. Are you with me? It's going to manage the running of that job. Now again, for openness and transparency, me and Jamie own a company called Flow State. And Flow State deals with a software called ServiceMate. And we believe, not saying we're right, but we believe that ServiceMate is the best piece of job management software out there for trades businesses. However, let me give you 2 more. There's another piece of software called Tradify, and there's another piece of software called Commusoft. They are also job management pieces of software that you can use. But once we've got a marketing and sales piece of software, and we've got a job management piece of software, and they are set up correctly, all of a sudden, when them leads come in, all the way through that inquiry stage to you being given the nod on the job, all the way through to the job being completed and the 5-star review being left by a customer, and the video testimonial shot, edited, and now on YouTube and your website for you, those two pieces of software will look after the entire running of your business. So it's okay generating the leads because we've nailed us marketing, but if we don't put the systems and automation in place, you're going to go back to being a busy fool because you've got to do everything manually for every single lead that comes in. Now, on top of all of this, I want you to consider outsourcing. Because yes, the systems and the automations will take care of it all for you, or take care of 80% of it automatically. There's still going to be an element of manual stuff and things to trigger, but 80% of it's done. But then there's still things in your business that I call low value tasks. And what I mean by these low value tasks are tasks that you may well be doing in your business right now that I believe you shouldn't be doing, because one, it's taking your time, but two, if we outsourced it to somebody else, they will be able to do that, freeing up our time, do it better, slicker, quicker than we can, and are actually more cost effective to the business than what you are doing it yourself. And what I'm talking about here is if you haven't got the finances or capability yet to bring in, let's say, a part-time or full-time admin person to answer your phones, deal with all your emails, and deal with all that low-value task work, you need to consider outsourcing this to a virtual assistant. Because a great virtual assistant, they will answer the phone, they'll vet the customers. Some of them can either price the jobs for you, they can put the proposals together for you, they can send them out, they can run your system, i.e. Leadzilla or ServiceMate. They're experienced in running the systems. And at that point, you are time free from your business because you're no longer answering the phones. You're no longer having to deal with the leads. You're no longer having to deal with the manual process of doing quotes and paperwork and all that lot. All that lot's done with the system and managed by outsourcing it to a VA. Now, what I want you to consider doing is listening to episode number 13. Because in episode number 13, I go into a lot more detail on how to systemize and automate your entire business. So go and have a listen to episode 13, and that will then conclude these 7 areas that I want you to start working on within your business. Now, there is a massive opportunity for you to absolutely dominate your market in your local area and become the go-to company that people go to for your services or your trade. But the only way we're going to get there, I believe, is by focusing on, first of all, these 7 areas, right? And like I said at the beginning of this episode, I'm not saying these are the be-all and end-all, because there's more areas than this that we can focus on. But I said to you, when I sat down in December and looked at my strategy for this new coming year, these are the 7 areas that I'm focusing on. And although I've got all these 7 areas nailed down and locked down already, and I've got these in place, remember what I said. If I'm happy to sit here plodding on, doing what I'm doing now, while the world around me is improving, I'm going to get left behind. And if you know me, or you're on my inner circle in particular, you'll know that, listen, I don't hang around. I want to be number one. I want to win. I've got a winner's mindset. I don't want to come second. Who remembers second place? If I'm going to be in this game of life and in this game of running a business, I want to be the best I can be. I want to reach my full potential. So me and my team have sat down and we've analysed all these 7 areas in our business, and we've seen that we can improve, and that's what we're going to be doing throughout the course of this year. And I guarantee that I'll still be dominating at the end of this year. Why? Because I'm passionate, I'm motivated to keep reaching our full potential and pushing these businesses on. And you've got this exact opportunity. You've got the same opportunity as me and the same opportunity as another 500 million business owners on this planet. But are you going to take this opportunity? Now, everything that I've just gone through in this episode, never mind all the other strategies I've shared with you in previous episodes, you can get help and support with all of this. You don't have to, you don't need to. If you want to listen to these podcast episodes and go away and implement everything yourself and you achieve your goals, amazing. Then we've done our job. But if you do need help and support and you feel as though you do need the training and you do need the coaching, and I dare say you do need your hand holding throughout this process and taking you through all this on a step-by-step guide, and you want access to me and my team and also our partners such as the VAs and the accountants and the marketing companies and the systems and automation companies that we've all partnered up with, then you can get all of this by joining the Trades Freedom Club when we launch our membership on the 13th of January 2025 at 11 a.m. And the only way you're going to get an invitation to become one of our founding members is by adding yourself to our priority waiting list that you will find in the show notes of this episode. Now, once again, if you are listening to this after the 13th of January, which the vast majority of people will be, then bingo, the doors are open for you to come and join us and get all the coaching, the training, the motivation, the accountability, the community, and belong to an organisation that is going to help lift you higher. You've got that opportunity right now. Now, if you're not a member of our free Trades Freedom Club, Facebook group and thriving community, I'd encourage you to come over and join us in our Facebook group, meet our members, meet our community, and start to get some help and support inside our Facebook group. Again, the link to join our Facebook group is in the show notes of this episode. Now, one last thing before we wrap this episode up. What I'd like you to do is whatever platform you are listening to this episode on, could I please ask you to consider either following, subscribing, or liking this episode and our podcast so you never miss another one. And the reason why I'm asking you to do this is the more popular our podcast becomes, the more followers, the more subscribers, if you like, that we get, obviously, the algorithm's going to kick in and it's going to push our podcast and our episodes out to more tradesmen and women. So therefore, we can help more people achieve that time and financial freedom. So if you can consider it in the follow or subscribe button, I greatly appreciate it. Now, I'm going to leave this episode with one of my favourite quotes from one of my coaches and one of my mentors, which is Tony Robbins. I'm sure many of you will have heard Tony Robbins. I've spoke about him many times. In fact, I've took many of my inner circle members to meet him at his events. But Tony Robbins has an amazing saying, and this stuck with me for the last 18 years. And that's this: if you want to take the island, then burn your fucking boats. And what he means by this is, if you want to take the island and you want to be successful, burn the boats that you pulled up on the island with. Because if you burn them boats, there is no way getting off that island. You are either going to win and survive and stay on that island, or you're going to die alone on that island. And whenever I put my time and effort into anything, I always go into it thinking I'm all in. I'm not half in. I'm not 3/4 in. If I'm going to do this, I'm all in. I'm burning my fucking boats. That way I've got to survive and I've got to make it work. And that's the same, I believe, that we've all got the choice to make as we come into this new year. So are you going to burn your boats? Are you that confident that you're going to roll your sleeves up and get stuck in and provide that lifestyle for you and your family? Or are you going to leave the boats in the harbour just in case it doesn't work out? I can try and escape. Because if you're going to leave your boats in your harbour with a get out, you're going to really struggle to get to where you want to be. So, thank you for listening to this episode. I'll catch up with you on next week's episode and I'll meet you at the top. Thank you.